I'm Ali Patterson. On this episode, we're looking into the world of ID verification. For this, we're going to explore the motivation and the market for stolen and copied ID documents, the dark web. We've also assembled a team of experts to guide us around identity management. Former Lulsac founder Mustafa Al-Basim, aka T-Flow, Ofer Friedman from Authentics, and Tony Pegg from Capify. Plus, find out what happens when we meet with one of the vendors from the dark web. But first, let's have a look at how to access this marketplace. I've got here simply Tor project, download Tor for browser. 56 megabytes, a minute to install. And just like that, with a few clicks, I have Tor loaded up. Right, yeah, I'm very much, I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing with this. But there we are, that's Tor loaded up. Allegedly anonymous browsing, but I think you need to have like a virtual private network as well. But we're recording this, so I don't mind being tracked. Right, I've now discovered a marketplace. There's actually hundreds of these marketplaces, but this one here is one called Alphabay. Just got to validate. Within 5 minutes, been able to log onto Tor, create a username and get onto Alphabay, and you can buy drugs, credit cards, whatever you like, using this dark web. But what we're looking for is fraudulent passports. One of the most prominent hacking groups, Lulsac, a spin-off from Anonymous, rose to prominence following extensive hacks on MasterCard and PayPal. I went to speak with one of the founders, Mustafa Al-Basim, aka T-Flow, to get his take on identity verification.
Well, I think in my experience, from when I've looked at sort of the security of banks, they seem to have large teams, but the way that banks are structured is that there's so much bureaucracy that they often tend to be many years behind more cutting edge technology companies like startups. So I think it's more of a structural thing, more of a kind of bureaucratical thing, that they just need to be more ahead of the game when it comes to adapting their security practices, because when new security practices become commonplace within the community, banks are often the slowest to actually adapt to those. So I mean, in terms of online shopping, I think the easiest thing you could do is to either use a credit card for online shopping, so that if there's fraud, your credit card company is liable and not you. Or if you don't have that option, then use a separate debit card, and every time you do online shopping, then just transfer money to that debit card before you make the payment. That essentially means that if your account is hacked, it doesn't matter because there's nothing valuable in it.
With so many people in the world and so many different types of identity documents, one of the hardest parts about ID verification is to be able to tell a tampered or a counterfeit document from one with simple wear and tear. I spoke with Ofer Friedman from Authentics to learn about how to verify an ID document.
Well, obviously, the good old way of sending the customer's picture of an ID, which is the basic use case, to a back office for someone to look at doesn't work because it looks brilliant. Just checking the data against whatever data resources you have obviously doesn't break anything because it checks well. It's a genuine person's data. So it has credit rating, it has credit history, and there is no problem. So the only piece that can effectively help curb this is an ability to check if the image you just got is actually a genuine document and not a made-up one. Now, making up documents is pretty easy, but also nowadays pretty discoverable, okay? Because if the data checks, it must be something about the manipulation of that file. So having the proper technology that looks not just at the data, not just at what's printed on it, but actually looks forensically at that incoming bit of picture is the only way to discover this.
I sent Doug McKenzie to meet with Capify, a company that rapidly provides business finance to SMEs. We wanted to know how they were able to verify SME owners safely and quickly.
I think it's really down to us making sure we have a platform that is secure. So any data that we hold is held in very, very secure authentication and almost like it's bank quality authentication. Really, it's down to our technology to make sure to verify that data. The customer obviously has a login, which is a secure login, again, which is updated via our technology systems on a regular basis. So the information we hold is very, very secure, and there is only one single entry point for the customer to come in. And we constantly review it on a monthly basis, and we change the access points on a regular basis, and that really gives us security. Offers the customers peace of mind that the transactions that we offer and the services that we offer is a very secure one.
So I wanted to see how to obtain fraudulent identities. I'm pretty certain a lot of these items are either spam, scams, or honey traps, but among all of it, I think there's a hell of a lot of legitimate items. I'm just going to search for passports now to have a look at some of the fraudulent passports. Right, it says, this passport is made from a real actual passport. Only one data page is modified with the details and the picture you will send. Original pages and cover remains with watermarks. This passport is valid for 10 years. The biometric chip is disabled. Can you use this passport for travelling? It's risky, but it's possible to pass airports. This is a fake passport for $2,000 that you can use to fly with. That's crazy. And weirdly accessible. That's scary. That is mind-boggled. What I want to know is, how do these passports stand up? If you had a real passport and an actual one, swap them around, how could you tell the difference?
I think in the future, documents should be made impossible to forge by using cryptography. So if, for example, you've got a passport, passports now, for example, have this cryptographic chip embedded inside it that you can scan at the passport gate, for example. I think that's where the future, lies. In the future, for example, the government can cryptographically sign your passport, and that cryptographic signature will be impossible to forge. So you can use mathematics to make documents impossible to forge. What I'm talking about is just general cryptography, but sure, you can take it further and use the blockchain as a sort of ledger for that kind of data. Well, I think it already is used to an extent, because now your passport does have a chip inside it, digital chip. That's a cryptographic key inside it. So some passports do have that. I think the reason why we haven't seen that sort of take place too much so far is because much of our infrastructure is legacy infrastructure. So it's very difficult to change that legacy infrastructure to actually implement all of that stuff, because it's completely radical change.
We refer back to technology, and ownership and business verification is a very important part of what we need to do as far as our underwriting and getting to know the customer, and particularly from a lending capacity. Technology enables us to pull in various different data sources, whether it's from company's house data, whether it's from bureau data. There are technologies where you can verify bank statements and passports and various other bits of data very quickly utilising technology. So we combine that along with our experience in underwriting to make very, very quick credit decisions.
So after going on the dark web, we came across EU Connection 42, and he has agreed to meet with us. So we are now at Membury service station on the M4. We're going to head in, and it is now 10 to 11. We're supposed to meet him at 11 o'clock, so we're going to wait in there and try and scope him out. It's now 20 past 11. Went around there. We're pretty obvious that we're doing some filming, looking to meet with him. We've got t-shirts that say Fintech Finance, but no show. Went logged onto the email as well. No message on there. I don't think he's turning up, which is gutting, because I thought we had somebody there.
Really, our process is one where, again, I refer to technology. Technology enables us to collect lots of different data sources and points of customer identities and various points. I think really that is a big differentiator between us and banks particularly, is that we do have the technology and platform and experience to identify an applicant, agree obviously the product and the process that they require, but also is to offer that payment structure that is automated. And it's that speed of technology that enables us to scale and provide the service and the accuracy of credit decisions for Capify and its customers.
We had a reply from a second guy on the dark web who agreed to meet with me. So we are at Charing Cross Station, ready to record with our passport fraudster. We're going to meet him inside. We've got a brum booked just up the road to do a full-on video interview with him. Let's first of all, unlike last time, let's hope he actually turns up.
Ali's just texted me. He said that the guy doesn't want to be on camera, but we're still recording the audio now. I'm going to try and get a few little shots though, but I'm not sure how much I can get.
Hotels are the best place. You can always find a couple of thousand passports there. I'd buy maybe a couple of hundred iCloud accounts for maybe $100. If you ever have to send a copy of your passport for whatever reason, do you use a scanner? Like you take a picture on your iPhone. I'm paid maybe about 20 to a guy in India, spend the day going through every photo, sending me any ID snaps. It's pretty expensive, but it works and you end up with a fresh load of scans and IDs, and you, I don't know, maybe about 1,000 or so IDs a month that way. The other way is you just buy them wholesale and sell them in chunks. You can buy maybe about 3,000, but they could all be crap, for about 50 to 150. I think it's the same guy out in India, sorts through them, sends me maybe the 200 UK ones, sends me then maybe the 200 from say France, and each of those in smaller packages sell for about 30. I get a lot of people buying it like that, sort of country specific.
Who buys these IDs? What's the end goal?
Lots of options. Steal someone's ID, create new documents, sell them to some refugee. The point is that people think they're valuable, and they're not. They are, but they're not as valuable as you think. Your friend McDonald's, your ID is worth your life. Your ID is worth £6 an hour. And that's the thing that people don't get, is the ID is worth a person and people are worth different amounts. So if you are Fred McDonald's, chances are you're pretty safe. But if you're someone with a fancy new iPhone, it means you've got a decent rep, decent credit rating. So it wouldn't be too hard to copy who you are and then get 5 figure loan out. So it is worth being you. So the more that you're worth, the more likely you are to get hacked. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Have you ever done that with focusing on somebody?
No. What I do is really sort of slap on the wrist style. I'm not an identity thief. That's 20 years if you recall. I'm a small cog in a big machine.
You ever scared of getting caught?
No, not at all. Police are welcome to look at my computer. They would never be able to put anything on me, as it's all in here. Account details, Bitcoin accounts. I have nothing written down. And even if they were to catch me red-handed typing away, worst I could end up with is 2 years in debt. But it is all up here.
How much are you taking in a month from doing this? Because it seems quite lucrative.
Yeah, I would maybe clear, to me personally, profit anywhere from 8 to 15 thousand US dollars. I'm working US dollars a bit because I exchange it via Bitcoin that way, so it's a lot easier. But I clear that sort of amount a month and then filter it all through Bitcoin selling. It's a good way to keep it off the radar. Anything more than that, and you would arise a lot of suspicion. But again, I'm very much sort of a small cog.
Yeah, that was certainly eye-opening. I think the rose-tinted glasses are off. Yeah, that was quite insightful.
Typically, it would be opening an account for whatever service or purchase, for that matter, it doesn't really matter. Then providing you just with a different address or different location to send the goods, and bingo, a completely genuine person just hit on a financial service, on a money transfer, on the order of a smartphone plus XYZ benefits with it disappear. You don't have any way to address it. And at some point, I believe statistics says something like 6 to 14 days. Does the real person whose identity has just been compromised discovers it? By that time, that person is not there anymore. So obviously, anything you can buy without being present is there to be used. How we detect it, obviously, I will not tell you. But it is based on advanced, basically machine learning enhanced image analysis, which looks at irregularities inside the composition of pictures and some other elements that exist on files that are not the picture itself, but additional information which basically provides you with risk flags on what's happening. And as far as we know, we are the only ones actually doing that. But the basics, the good old basics of just reading what's printed on it, or even reading the barcode that's on a document, or the MRZ lines on a passport, is not good enough because they are easy to reproduce. If you delved into the dark web, as I believe you've done, you will know that nowadays you don't even have to cut-paste information into the document. All you have to do is get a template which is available online, or go into your Photoshop, doing it at home. It will take you, let's say you're investing a little bit in tying it up. It will take you a couple of hours, and you have the perfect document which will go through any conventional solution, not to mention the eyes of someone who's looking at the document. Now, the story becomes a little bit even more tricky once you're not a local business, but you're a cross-border type of business. Now, do you have any idea what an Algerian driving license looks like? Or what a Ukrainian ID, second version from now, looks like? It's simply the current practice of relying on people or relying on OCR-based solutions does not work. This is a major issue. It's already marked as a major issue. What's now popping up is the fact that this is due not to the existence or inexistence of a technology, but practices that keep on insisting on basically reading data that's easy to obtain, checking it against databases that everybody knows, and some of them have been compromised lately if you read the news. And that is why there is a constant growth in ID fraud or ID-driven fraud. As far as I remember, something like 85% of all frauds involved identity forgery.
On the next episode, we look with BBVA on how to understand who your customer is. We also speak with Metro Bank and Glassbox around how to remain compliant whilst doing this.